you hear me okay? Fired up, Austin says, hey, Austin, can you hear me okay? Oh, awesome. Rob says yes, he can hear. So I'm using a different platform that I'm used to using. I'm still on my end waiting for it to. Oh, nope, it still hasn't generated on my Facebook that have gone live yet. So I'm going to kill a couple of minutes here as per usual and see if this thing will show me where we are live on Facebook. So I'm using our streaming service that oh, there it is. I'm gonna pin this on the church's Facebook page. Yeah, delete the pin, unpin from top of page. I see the video now here on the page. I'm gonna pin that to the top of the church's page. Oh, so I see 5 of us on here. That's awesome. We'll wait around for another couple of minutes. If you haven't done so yet, share the video with your folks, please. So I've got, just so you know some of the behind the scenes stuff, I've got the computer. So I'm using our streaming service that we've been using for the last few weeks at church. Jeremy helped me get it set up, and it's working really well. But I've never run it myself, and so I've got like I might actually end up with 2 cameras here in a minute. I hope I don't. I'm going to enter the studio here. That might pop us up as a second camera. It does not yet. Okay, I think we're good then. I can have, and I'm wondering now if the Fireside Chat logo is it's backwards, isn't it? I think it's backwards because this software, as opposed to Facebook Live, it flips things back the correct way. So I think my logo's backwards, and I'm sorry about that. Let's see. I've got a bunch of comments coming up here. You are on YouTube. Yes, I am live on YouTube. Awesome. Thank you, Jeremy, for helping me out with that. He just commented on YouTube. I'm gonna grab our YouTube link or channel address, and I'm gonna throw that up in the comments. You can actually watch this now live on YouTube. You don't have to be on Facebook, and so if you're kind of curmudgeonly and you're thinking I don't want to be on Facebook or any of that stuff, you can watch now on YouTube. You can also comment on YouTube. You can throw it up on your TV. That's pretty cool. Let me see. Grabbing that channel. Yep. Going into the comments here on Facebook. Of course, I'm going to wait from it. Oh, there we go. Boom. There it is on Facebook. On the Facebook comments. So let me stream back through these comments and see what you're saying. I think, truth be told, I think the video quality is probably going to be better on YouTube than it is on Facebook. I think. Uh, Either way, I do think the who is wrong behind YouTube. Mr. Mike. Who is Mr. Mike? I'm curious about that. Let me know who you are watching here. So Rob says, hello, good evening, sir. Awesome to have you on here, Rob. Austin says, fire it up as per is his use. And let's see. Yep. Jeremy's telling me you are live on YouTube. Great confirmation. Rob then says, yes, I can hear you. Austin says, yes. All right, he says, I hear you. Bill says, Bill here. Mike Kincaid says, hello, everyone. Audio is not clear, Bill says. I hope the sound is poor quality, though, Austin says. Okay, so I'm not using my usual microphone, and I see my microphone there, but my auxiliary cable is out in the van, so I'm not going to stop to get it. I'm hoping that you can hear me okay enough. Give me me a comment letting me know if you can hear me okay. I wonder if Mr. Mike is Mike Kincaid. I wonder if he saw that it was on YouTube, so he switched over to YouTube. Also, you may find that the audio is better on YouTube. Austin has switched to YouTube. So, Austin, having been on both now, is YouTube better quality sound-wise, audio-wise? Let me see here. So Dave says, we have gone into the silent spiral mode. I'm sorry, David. Switch to YouTube. You won't have that silent spiral mode, I don't think, if you switch to YouTube. I would text you. Actually, I think I can text you here on my computer since you now have an iPhone. Thank you for it. I'm going to send you a text message real quick. That should maybe go to your iPad as well, so you'll be able to get that. All right, here we go. I'm going to bang. There you go. David, hopefully you got that. Little audio trouble here too. Hey, I'm so sorry, guys. Is it? It's not better, Austin says. I mean, I can put my hand up here next to the phone mic and try to increase the volume there, but I don't know that it's going to be any better. This is my jug of water that I carried around at camp, and I'm hot. I'm really hot right now. I'm sweating quite a bit, and so I got my trusty jug of water here. All right, so you guys can on YouTube still pour. I'm sorry. All right, so here's what we're gonna do so that you guys have as good a quality audio as possible. I'm gonna grab that on it won't take 40 seconds or so. Y'all talk amongst yourselves. I'm gonna pretend like I'm in class and hey, I've got to run and grab something real quick. You guys talk amongst yourselves. Use that comment feature as much as you'd like. Take a quick minute. Share the video with your friends on Facebook. You can text somebody the YouTube link as well and say, hey, check us out here on YouTube. Hopefully we'll have some more folks joining us on YouTube who aren't on Facebook, but I'll be right back in a minute. I'm back. Was that less than 40 seconds? Somebody time me? When I was literally running to the van, I thought, this is going to be terrible if I, like, crack my ankle and fall out in the dirt and nobody's there to help me or something. I thought, what do old people do when they fall down outside? And they got people live stream waiting for them to return. Also, we need to get Lord Store for a jug like that for his coconut beer. Yes, Austin. All right, I'm plugging in my mic now. Hopefully, audio would increase exponentially. How's that audio? Is that a little bit better? I don't know. See, I don't know if it's the connection that's causing audio trouble or if it's just the volume and sound quality because of being so far away from the mic on the phone. But I've got basically I've done everything I can do to increase the volume. Oh, good, better, much better, awesome. What is Brotato Chip? How's it? Oh, Brotato, I got you. So Mr. Mike must be Mike Kincaid. I'm thinking. Okay, much better. Everybody seems unanimous. This is much better. I appreciate y'all's feedback. I like these comments, and it's really cool to see the comments on YouTube. That's pretty funny. So it is the Fireside Chat. It is. It's been a wild and eventful few weeks. For the last like 6 weeks, 5 of those weeks, I believe, either me alone or
me and some of the family, or me and all of the family, most commonly. We've been on the road. We've been to Mississippi a couple of times, Alabama once, um, Kentucky once, and then our camp here in Georgia last week. We have been just piling up the mileage on Big Red, and we've been driving all over. We've had what, 3 camps that the kids have attended. I've attended 2 of them. Lindsay and all the family attended one last week here in Georgia. We've just been running ragged, and obviously most of the weeks we've been able. Sorry, I'm the screen. The video screen is smaller on this StreamYard than it is on my cell phone normally on Facebook Live, and so I'm trying to stay within the frame, and I'm also trying to get used to, like, how do I, with the logo being backwards. Please do confirm the logo is backwards on y'all's end, right? It's backwards on my end. So I'm having trouble finding where you're talking about on YouTube. Sorry, Jim. Jim just shot me a text message. Let me. I don't know. Oh, there we go. I can send him a text right here. Boom. There you go. So hopefully Jim will be joining us here in a minute. Christy Chandler says yes. You, Mr. Mike, is the Mike Kincaid. My glasses are fogging up because I'm sweating and producing steam. I'm having trouble finding what you're talking about on YouTube. Okay, Jim, just click that link. Who did the logo? And yes, it is back. Well, that's going to make it easier to do going forward. Just click that link. All right. So I did the logo this week. That answers that question. Man, it's backwards. That drives me insane. I could fix it. I'm not gonna fix it. Tonight's backwards in so many ways. So we're just gonna go with it. All right. So where was I? Oh, so we've come to you live from camps and that sort of stuff for the last few weeks. I think we did Facebook Live in Mississippi while I was there for intensives, and then a couple of weeks later we did Facebook Live in Mississippi, back there in Mississippi for Mississippi camp, or maybe 3 weeks later. And then last week we were going to do Facebook Live from camp. There would have also been a possible fire involved because we were going to do a bonfire, and that got bumped. Our service was running a little over, and so I knew that we weren't going to be able to get out of service without trying to rush things, and so that's when I put out the APB, letting everybody know, hey, sorry, we're not going to have it. So sorry you missed last week. Sorry I missed last week. Sorry you missed me being here last week because I missed last week. But we're here tonight, and it is the Fireside Chat. Hopefully you're taking a quick moment to share with all your friends on Facebook and whatnot. Okay, I'm going back and rereading comments that I've already seen. Better than all the kids. Austin says brutal. Yeah, the kids came in and they were like, "Oh, Dad, that's awesome." And so I was really proud of it. The old man still got it. I used to win art awards back in middle school and high school. All right, so here in just a few moments, I am going to be looking at our passages from Sunday morning this past week, as well as the week prior. That'll be Daniel chapter 3 from 2 weeks ago, and then Daniel chapter 6 from this past Sunday. And we'll kind of walk through some of that together. But I just wanted to give you a quick update on what's been going on, and let y'all know about us streaming live on YouTube now. So most of you probably know we've been doing that for Sunday mornings, but now we're able to do it also for our Wednesday evening Fireside Chats, and that's really cool. We do want to promote that YouTube channel as much as we can. Honestly, I know a lot of people just avoid Facebook as much as they can, and I don't want to encourage somebody, hey, get on Facebook, you'll love it, because I know how toxic it can be. And so I do want to promote our YouTube channel as much as possible, because that's all like our stuff. And so anything you find there, it's just us. It's our videos. It's you can find Dr. Oswald's his men's retreat lectures or sermons from a couple of years ago. Those of you that missed that or weren't around for that, you can check those out. They're there, I believe. I think so. And we've got oh yeah, the only comments and whatnot are folks that watch our videos and whatnot. So I do want to encourage you to subscribe to the channel. If you haven't subscribed to it, subscribe to it. I think we've only got like 11 subscribers, and that's ridiculous. That's ridiculously poor. We ought to have a lot more than that. We got a lot more families than that in our church, and we frequently have that many viewers live on Wednesday nights. So subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so yet, and encourage your friends to do so as well if you don't mind. All right, let me see. This says we got a guest on here. I don't even know what that means. Oh, that's me. That's my other. Sorry that I'm seeing how the sausage is made while the sausage is being made, and I'm the one making it. I've never done this recipe before, and so I'm starting to see what's going on. So what could happen is I can actually add in guests here. I could send this link out to friends and say, hey, join me for the Fireside Chat, and we can bring them in for it. We can bring them in for the whole thing, for just segments within it. Speaking of that, did you see me doing the Tom Shalhoub podcast a few weeks ago? I think it was a few weeks ago. I think it was like 3 weeks ago. I did the Tom Shalhoub podcast. You might know him from Fox News. I was a regular caller of his back when I was driving down to the the OCU campus in South Atlanta, or south of Atlanta. I would, spend time in the car just listening to a show, and I'd call in and read his book. You've heard me talk about him before, most of you. And he wanted to do a podcast episode with me. And as of like a couple of weeks or so ago, he mentioned that there were several thousand views of it. He said on YouTube, no, just from his sharing of it on Twitter alone, there were over 2,000 views. So I don't know cumulative if it hit 10,000 with all of his platforms, if it's just a little over 2,000. I have no idea, but there are at least 2,000 unique views of it. And so if you haven't seen it, let me know. I'll try to share it in the comments. We saw it. Christy says awesome. But yeah, that was really cool doing that. And he does not use the same software as what we're using, but just as he was able to interview me there, I'd be able to do that sort of stuff. Watch the podcast. Awesome. Thank you. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Oh, I haven't even shared this on Facebook yet. Let me take a quick minute to do. All right, you're in not Deuteronomy. You're in Daniel 3 and or 6 now, right? Hopefully everybody is there. Let me see. Man, I wish I could real easily share this. All right, there we go. Boom. Share it. No, not as the church. I'm sharing it. I want to share it as me. There we go. Share it as me. There it is. Share. Share now public. Share now as a story. Boom. Share to. Sorry, y'all know me. I get to mumbling when I'm trying to multitask. There we go. Share it to the church's Facebook group, because that always grabs folks that don't see it on the church's page, which is weird. All right. Let me see. That's so funny, because on Facebook it says that 4 people are watching, but on StreamYard it says that 7 people are watching because of the 3 of you that are watching it on YouTube. That's really cool. All right, so I am getting back to where we should be. We're going to be looking at the scriptures in Daniel chapter 3. So we read about Daniel and his 3. Well, not we read this past week about Daniel in chapter 6, but the week prior we read from chapter 3 about his 3 friends, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And honestly, one of the things that puzzles me and makes me scratch my head is what all is going on with their relationship during all of these events. Because in chapter 1, they're very clearly like all together, working together, thinking together. They live together. They're roommates. But then when you get to chapter 3, everything is happening with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Where's Daniel? We don't read anything about him, and we're not sure if he's like out of town, which could have been possible. We don't know if It's just assumed that he's one of the ones that's not worshipful. We really have no clue what's going on with Daniel when you get to chapter 3. But then we have really no clue what's going on with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, or Mishael, Azariah, and I'm trying to remember their Hebrew names. Mishael, Azariah, and Mishael, Shadrach, Azariah. Yeah, I've gone blank now. We got there we go. Hananiah. I couldn't remember Hananiah. So we don't hear anything of them when you get to chapter 6. And so that's one of the things that's really, really curious. But I don't want to focus there because we really don't know what to say about what's going on there, and you'd be reading into silence too much to try to speculate. But the thing I do want to emphasize, which you probably saw on Facebook, or if you're on Instagram, I shared a little piece of Insta artwork that that Banks put together from my sermon, not this past Sunday, but the previous Sunday. And that is, I want to emphasize the importance of friendship when it comes to standing boldly for Christ, especially when it's difficult to stand. It is possible to stand alone, but man, it's so much more advantageous and so much easier. And I know the easy road is not the road we want to go, but it is so much so much more likely that we will stand faithfully if we have people with us with whom we can stand. And you find that in Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They've got each other in chapter 3, but you find that also in the whole of Daniel's story, because in chapter 1 you find out that he does have these 3 friends, and he is a bit of a leader, it seems, to them, and those 3 are also faithful with him. And so I cannot emphasize enough the importance of walking the Christian walk with friends in tow, mentoring them, but also being mentored by them, but also having just compadres who can walk through the life with you. I'm sorry. One of my pet peeves about watching folks on Facebook Live is when they take a little sip out of their coffee and it's like right in a mic and it sounds funky and kind of gross. So sorry if that was funky and gross, but I'm really thirsty if I haven't told you yet. All right. So Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, and then Daniel. You've got them standing faithfully for the Lord together, faithfully for Yahweh together. They are not alone. And we honestly, I complain about our culture all the time. One of the things that's good about our culture is the desire to kind of connect and be connected and whatnot. One of the things that's bad about it is the way we do it. And oftentimes the things we do are motivated by they're motivated by something that's intrinsic to the image of God, something like being connected, something like being relational, something like being concerned about our world. But often what ends up happening is we're tempted to express those things in inordinate ways, in ways that aren't by God's design. And so what we do is we end up very superficially and very impersonally building these webs of relationships when we're created for the webs of relationships, but we're created for personal, intimate, uh, tangible webs of relationships, not just digitally mediated ones. And so so there's that. There's obviously human sexuality is another one of those ways that and I know obviously Daniel's not talking about sexuality, but I'm just taking some of what we've been talking about these last few weeks and thinking through how we see the world in other categories as well. But like human sexuality, that's a good thing. It's something that's God designed, God created. He said that it is good. He even said it's not good the man should be alone. And of course, that's not just about sexuality. That's about all relationships, friendships among them. But we are sexual beings by creation, by nature. And God designed us that way. But of course, our culture and all cultures take that good, distort it, twist it, misrepresent it, misuse it, abuse it. And so you've got all sorts of deviant expressions of something that is good. Same thing with like, food. Like we do that with food. We abuse it. Austin says we talked about being relational this evening during our after dinner devotional based on Psalm 15. That's awesome. That's very, very awesome. So we always, sin is a parasite. That's one thing that we can be very clear about. Sin is a parasite. It always has to prey upon something else. It cannot exist alone. It preys upon God's good created order. Um, uh, and so what it does is it takes good things, it twists it, it distorts it. We're tempted toward misusing and abusing those things. And it is important. I cannot emphasize enough the importance of Daniel having his three comrades. I use that term just to provoke people, because I know that a lot of folks get provoked by the term comrade. But he's got these three buddies, these three friends who are doing life with him, who are standing faithfully for Yahweh with him. Sorry, I'm messing around with this microphone, trying to get it moved out of my way, but still able to pick me up well. All right, so let's. Normally, I would have my sermon notes here, and I'd just kind of flip through and see what are the things that I talked about that maybe I need to drill down on. Are there, and I don't have those notes in front of me, are there any questions from the sermons from the last couple of weeks that maybe came into your mind that you want to ask? I'd love to field those. If you've got them, please make use of the comments and let me know if anything in your mind was triggered, or a thought, a question came up about Daniel 3 or 6 or in the intervening chapters. I'd love to address those. Just to tell you a little bit about what I've been doing. So one of my classes in this doctoral program has been a preaching class, and I've got a couple of assignments left in it that I'm wrapping up. It's actually for Dr. Lorsdorfer Olson. You've mentioned him. So one of the things he's having us do is he's having us preach and record. Loves the term comrade. Banks. Oh, Banks loves the term. Yes, I know. So one of the things that he's required us to do is record 3 sermons, and those have to be video recorded, and they've got to be uploaded, and then all of our classmates tear them apart and tell us how horrible we were and what we could have done better and all that sort of stuff. And I say that very facetiously. He does not encourage that, but he does want us to improve our preaching through it. But those sermons have to be manuscripted. That's something he's required of us, and that means I have to write virtually every word that I expect to say. So if I expect to say the word, if I expect to use filler words, even like, what's more, that phrase, I'm expected to have it in my manuscript. And so what he wants us to do is he wants us to manuscript word for word exactly what we intend to preach for those sermons. And so for the last 3 weeks, I've been preaching from manuscript, and that's been really kind of disorienting for me, because I normally don't preach from a manuscript, but so many of you have told me that the sermons have been great. You've told me, hey, I didn't even notice you were doing anything different. I see Rachel's on here. Awesome to have you here, Rachel. Yeah, I've been preaching for manuscript, and that's been really odd for me. Hopefully that my preaching hasn't suffered too bad. Me being too badly, I guess I should say, the adverb there is needed. Hopefully my preaching hasn't suffered too bad. And this is not like a passive aggressive attempt at me to try to get compliments. Please do not compliment me. Not in the comments here, and don't compliment me in person saying, oh, Adam, your sermons have been good. But I do want to let you know that the preaching has just been different. At least my crafting of sermons has been different these last 3 weeks. And I don't know that that's necessarily been better. I think that manuscripting is probably helpful and probably will in the long run help me. I don't know that I'd be able to do it every single week, but I do know that it's helped me to thoroughly think through things, which has been helpful. And but I've also been really rushed to try to get those sermons finished. And so I don't know that the sermons have been what they could have been or should have been or might otherwise would have been had I not been manuscripting them with a timeline to get them done for this class. But that is what that is. So no questions about Daniel 3 or 6? Nobody's got any questions. All right, so let's then ooh, I want to look at I want to look at how Yahweh, and I didn't plan this out at all, but I'm looking at the text. I want to just read and maybe kind of expound upon real quickly what is said about Yahweh by particularly King Nebuchadnezzar. Look in chapter 4 in the first few verses here. Now this is after Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. He obviously, Nebuchadnezzar promotes them in his kingdom. And then it says, King Nebuchadnezzar, to all peoples, nations, and languages that dwell in all the earth, peace be multiplied to you. It has seemed good to me to show the signs and wonders that the Most High God has done for me. Whoa, he's talking about Yahweh here. He then says, and he does it poetically. This is poetry in the text in verse 3. It says, "How great are his signs? How mighty his wonders." Notice the parallelism. How great are his signs? How mighty are his wonders? His kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and his dominion endures from generation to generation. You remember back in chapter 2. What flummoxed and frustrated King Nebuchadnezzar so much was this dream that he had of this statue, and the reality that his kingdom's not forever, that his kingdom is going to end, but there will be one coming that is going to live forever. That stone that hit the toes and the feet of the statue in his dream, that stone became a mountain, and the statue crumbled, and the stone hits the feet, and the stone becomes this mountain, and it spreads throughout the entire earth. He's talking about the kingdom of Christ there. And you remember Nebuchadnezzar is frustrated, and so his response is I'm going to build a statue where my kingdom does last forever, where my kingdom is the only kingdom for the rest of world history. And so he builds this statue 90 feet tall, 9 feet wide, of solid gold. You remember the statue in chapter 2, the head had been gold, and he and his kingdom, the Babylonians, had represented that head, or that head of gold had represented he and his kingdom, the Babylonians. And so here, Nebuchadnezzar has been humbled by the faith and faithfulness of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And so he says, how great are his signs, how mighty his wonders, talking about Yahweh, the Most High God, he calls him. His kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and his dominion endures from generation to generation. He then tells a story about another dream that he had, and where he's humiliated and humbled, and how that all plays out, because he's very prideful, very arrogant. And so once you get to his humiliation, he finally comes to his senses later on in the chapter. And of course, I'm just blazing past so much text. I encourage you to read chapter 4 in your own time. It's a really, really fascinating chapter. But you get to the end in verse 34. He says, Nebuchadnezzar again he's telling his story. Chapter 4 is written by Nebuchadnezzar. It's so fascinating. At the end, and it's almost like an interlude in Daniel's thought process. At the end of the days, I, Nebuchadnezzar, lifted my eyes to heaven, and my reason returned to me. And I blessed the Most High. Here again, he's talking about Yahweh. And praised and honored him who lives forever. And then you've got some more poetic verse in 34, the end of 34 and verse 35. For his dominion, it is an everlasting dominion, and his kingdom endures from generation to generation. He's kind of continuing that song, or that poem, that he began earlier in chapter 4. All the inhabitants of the earth are accounted as nothing, and he does according to his will among the hosts of heaven. and among the inhabitants of the earth, and none can stay his hand or say to him, what have you done? So he's talking here about the authority and sovereignty of Yahweh and the everlastingness of his kingdom. So then when you get to chapter um, chapter 6, the end of chapter 6, which we read this past week, Daniel in the Lion's Den, you remember it's King Darius, who's not Babylonian. He is not one of Nebuchadnezzar's descendants. Instead, he is Darius the Mede. The Medo-Persian kingdom is absorbing Babylon into their empire, and Darius the Mede is reigning as king down in Babylon. And Daniel has been spared from the lion's den. And so King Nebuchadnezzar says, again, sounds an awful lot like what Nebuchadnezzar said at the very beginning. He says, peace be multiplied to you. I make a decree that in all my royal dominion, people are to tremble and fear before the God of Daniel. That is, of course, Yahweh. For he is, here's poetic verse again, he is the living God, enduring forever. His kingdom shall never be destroyed. His dominion shall be to the end. He delivers and rescues. He works signs and wonders in heaven and on earth. He who has saved Daniel from the power of the lions. So I want to encourage you. We do live in a very a world that is foreign to us, a world that is increasingly and quickly becoming um, unfamiliar, very unfamiliar cultural territory, at least to us. It's not that, suddenly the world is going through something it's never gone through. There's nothing new under the sun. But for us who live in these times and us who live in this culture, it's different for us. We've never seen what we're seeing before. And that can be frustrating. That can be discouraging. That can be disorienting, I think is a word that I've been using the last few weeks. But be encouraged. King Nebuchadnezzar can be brought to his senses. King Darius can be brought to his senses as well. And even from the mouths of these pagan kings, Yahweh is worshipped when they turn to him and when they submit to him and when they come to their senses and are humbled. And so, I just wanted to share that with you. I don't know what to make of that. I'm kind of shooting from the hip tonight. And I do want to tell you this coming Sunday morning is going to be exciting. We got a very exciting special service planned. All sorts of exciting things are going to be happening this Sunday. You do not want to miss it. You don't want to miss it here if you're watching live. You do not want to miss it in person. If you got any way whatsoever to be there in person, you don't want to miss it. It's going to be an exciting service filled with all sorts of really cool stuff. One of the things that's going to be happening is you're going to be hearing about quite a bit about camp. I'm hoping that some of the youth will share about their experiences at camp this past week, and maybe even some from earlier in the summer. But there's going to be a lot of really exciting things. I know I'm being very cryptic here. I'm not sharing a lot of details with you, but you do not want to miss the service this coming Sunday morning. It's going to be a big one. It's going to be awesome. All right. So any other comments? I'm taking a look at them. I don't see any others coming in. I really appreciate you for joining us for the Fireside Chat. I feel like almost like the delay has not been near what it normally is when I'm on Facebook Live. Maybe this platform is helping that delay. Thank you all so much for joining us. All right, I've eaten up enough of your time. I'm gonna sign off. I appreciate you guys. I love you. If you haven't shared the video yet, please take a quick minute and share it. And have a good one. Bye. Now I don't know how to turn the thing off. Oh, there we go. Okay. End.